see most of the human race killed off because it is unworthy. It is unworthy of the gift of life.
I don't care what society thinks. They're nothing anyway. They're no better than me.
Until we hear the safe word, we will not stop.
Have you ever thought what it would be like to see a person's head amputated? Think of things so horrible that the human mind cannot imagine them. To see all this and more when you see on stage, in person, that crazy mix-up.
I like being set apart from people. I like to be hated.
Safe Word with Jason Rouse.
Some mastication. La, la, la. Check. Hey, this is Jason Rouse, and welcome to the Safe Word Podcast. My guest on the show today, Nick Flanagan, who I'd met in Toronto probably over a decade ago.
Oh, far longer than a decade.
Maybe
ago.
15 years. I'd say maybe even 15.
I would say about probably 16 years ago.
I think it was around the time I was in Humber.
Is this okay for me to say how long I've been doing comedy? Because it's starting to become a humiliating number based on achievement level.
But you're the measuring, because I think if you do comedy more than 10 years in Canada, that's quite an accomplishment.
Well, 17, right? I think I'm at year 17 now.
17. I'm just, I'll be 21 years in June.
That's wild.
Right?
Did you do anything for a 20-year anniversary show?
No, because I was here in Los Angeles and getting fucking booked on anything of substance.
Right, you email somebody, hi, I want to do a 20-year anniversary show. And they're like,
no.
Who are you again?
Yeah. No, in the defense of the comedy community here, the improv has been pretty cool with me putting on my own shows and
that's great.
Picking my own acts. So
cool.
I pick my battles maybe 2 to 3 times a year. I'll do it, but I hate producing the shows. I don't want to get involved in
I've been producing shows since at least
well, you couldn't get work in Canada, never mind Los Angeles, right?
I was talking about that to my friend. Yeah. I was really bitching today.
You were fucked from go.
Yeah.
You were. I had to turn my head a couple times because I know the road you were going down. I'm like, I'm lonely. That guy is going to die with a rat in his mouth.
That's it. And I did. Honestly, I put a rat in my mouth and was about to end it today. But I said, no, I'll do the podcast. I want to get my last will and testament.
No, but respect. I know your war. And
it's an interesting war.
I'm on a different trajectory of the same thing.
Yeah.
But you just keep plugging along, right?
I guess. I mean, the thing about LA is in Toronto you can kind of keep. Mm-hmm. In Toronto you can kind of keep plugging along, for indefinitely. No one will stop you from doing comedy forever.
Yeah, you got a rental car of a career. You could just keep driving it until the wheels come off.
Totally. But in LA, I feel like at some point you have to go, okay, I don't have any money. I don't live anywhere. I don't do comedy anymore.
Yeah.
So what am I? I just had my identity erased when I moved here,
I went from a super busy 12-month a year, 5 days a week touring schedule for 5 years in Europe to that.
Yeah, to the inertia.
Scratching your head going, I did comedy.
Yeah, I did comedy.
I thought, but no. Yeah.
Well, you've got one of the ultimate mind fuck sort of careers going on.
Oh, for sure.
And I do mean to say sort of careers.
Yeah. It's a fucking 3-wheeled bicycle and everyone's facing the wrong way.
And you're wearing a Planet of the Apes mask. But no, because you've got that Europe thing, which is its own thing. You've had stuff you had this English period, that I think was the beginning of all of that, right? And
yeah, when I found out my green card was going to take 5 years, I'm like, I can't do another 5 years in Canada.
Why was it 5-year wait for a green card? Did you have a criminal record?
No, I wanted to go
have a criminal record.
No. I've only been arrested once.
Okay.
Oh no, sorry. I've been arrested a bunch of times, but I've only been charged with one thing.
And that.
Do you want to guess what that is?
Yeah, it was probably being too not safe for work.
No, I was running down the highway on a
You're running down a highway.
in Sabo Beach over a long weekend.
Oh, well, that sounds pretty intense.
It was fun,
Yeah.
but that was the only thing that I was arrested for.
And they'd fine you for that?
Yeah, I had to pay an $80 fine and go to a court date in that town that fell upon another long weekend, which we were going to go up there and camp for the weekend anyway.
So you just
we're-
partied.
Yeah, we just went there, got partied.
Is that BC, Sabo Beach, or where is that?
No, Ontario.
It's Ontario?
Yeah, yeah.
Shows what I know.
Didn't you ever do any go camp? You're not a camper.
Do I look like a camper?
You look like a lost hiker, but you're not a
Yeah, I'm
camper.
definitely a lost hiker. I'm like, I'm driving around LA and I can't even believe that that's happening right now. You know, like sometimes I just honk because I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
There
this
is
is great.
streets-
You don't drive though.
There is streets that have those rows of palm trees, and you're just like, oh, that's cool.
Yes, that's the.
There's people listening to this in a Winnipeg right now, cursing us.
Right, but if they know they can't,
Move!
they want to say it out loud. But if they
Move!
open their mouth, their teeth will fall out from the cold.
I've never done a gig in Manitoba.
Yeah, I've never done a gig in Manitoba. One of those answers is more surprising than the other. You not doing it is like, that's fucked. Me not doing it's like, of course not. Those people would punch me in the face.
Did you
Those
ever?
people.
Yeah.
Those people.
Yeah, those other Canadians.
Those other,
knuckle
those
draggers.
nice people.
Yeah.
The weaker thens
Come
are
into
going to
my
punch
house.
me in the face.
Fuck my daughter, and here's some meatloaf.
Christine Fellows will punch me in the face. Or what's Oh Kittens? You ever hear that band?
Yes.
Oh, they're so good. They were a
I
Winnipeg
met. This
band.
is so weird.
Yeah.
I met a girl. First of all, when I was living in Vancouver, my friends in a band called Minority said that there's.
I
this
hope they were
band-
minorities.
They were pretty across the board, and they said that there's a band coming from Winnipeg called Kittens, and the singer wore a cowboy hat.
Wow.
And it was I think it was like a 3-piece, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were.
But it sounded very industrial.
They were really thick sound. They were really heavy. They were for when I was growing up. You know, when I was a teen, long before
Scary.
we crossed, I loved it.
It was scary
It was like
music.
along the lines of Jesus Lizard, or even heavier than Jesus Lizard. It was almost more like Melvin's.
Yeah, I saw them play in
Yeah.
Hamilton.
Yeah, I think I saw them once at Sneaky D's, and I remember just being like, "This fucking rules."
Yeah, they rocked.
Yeah, I love that shit.
I met a young lady from Sweden that did their music video.
I didn't even know they had a music video. They were on Sonic Onion to bring it back
Yeah, to Hamilton?
some Hamilton connection.
Yeah, Sonic.
I know Union.
Frank Black.
Was he on?
He was on Sonic Onion. I was trying to actually get on Sonic Onion earlier in my career after my move back from Vancouver. I was trying to get on a label
Yeah.
that had a kind of alternative rock edge to it. And
Yeah.
Sonic Onion had a lot of the bands that I thought might gravitate.
But it was like, even at that time when you would have been trying to do that, I mean, when would that have been?
I was ahead of myself.
2000?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it wasn't
Late
that you were
90s.
ahead of yourself. It was like Sonic Onion was almost on its way out, like even at that time, to just become kind of a distribution warehouse, you know?
yeah. Did it kind of go the way, because they had a lot of similarities to kind of like Sub Pop and things like that.
It was definitely, I think,
Canadian
started
Sub
like
Pop.
a Canadian answer to Sub Pop. And much, I'm sure, like Sub Pop. I mean, I think these big distributors, become, like labels become distributors, and that's how they make a lot of money. Like Alternative Tentacles is like that.
Yes.
In the Bay Area.
My friends told me very early on that distribution was key. A lot of these deals
Yeah.
were made because these companies had distribution back ends to them so that they could at least get their stuff out in the boot, as we say.
Can I tell you about my deal I made for my comedy album?
Yeah.
That I just did.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, where'd you tape it?
I taped it in Hamilton.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I tried a lot of recordings. I don't know what your. I feel like I've seen you do a lot of recording shows. So
I've done a few. It's a lot in trash.
No, but that's the right way to do it. I think it's like you just keep going and you keep doing them because it's like, it's one thing to try to do a videotaping. Even those are you might not use them, but an album audio taping that works is like it might not just happen, and you shouldn't do something substandard, know. And people do now because in Canada, I'm going to put Canada on blast for a second too. I'm going to say, I can't do it.
That's so Canadian what you just did. Blast them. Name names, motherfucker.
I'm not naming names.
No one listens to this anyway. I've had some backlash from this, actually. Everybody listens to this.
There's no Sound Exchange, and maybe it's bigger than Canada, but Sound Exchange is essentially like for Canadians, it's Canadian comedians, it's
income?
borderline welfare. Yeah, it's like that's a good thing, you know. It's like, but I think because of that, there's a glut of Canadians who record stuff, and there's a rush to get things
cash
on.
grab.
Yeah, and then it sort of means sometimes I've been listening to Sirius Canada. They even have it here, the Canadian Sirius stuff, and won't even list the name of the comedian. Like it'll have some, you know, like Matt O'Brien comedy or something, and I just like won't even say his name, and I'll be like, how much does that suck that they're not even taking the time to identify the comedian here?
It's the baloney.
Yeah.
It's the baloney end of it.
It's the CanCon.
But there's a lot of factors in place, especially with advertisers and things. So they'll put in like 10 minutes of some bland stuff because they know that they can put commercial time after it, and there's not going to be any real repercussions.
I mean, there's even a Canadian radio station out of Hamilton that does
CFMU?
No, they're the comedy one. It's like K-Laugh, something weird.
But, yeah. They won't have me on.
Well, they won't have anyone on because, and it doesn't matter if they won't have you on because those.
Fuck you.
Dude,
what are they called?
I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
it's supposed to be. I'm like, cool. Hamilton's got a comedy radio station.
They don't play any Canadian stuff particularly, but they play They play always under 2 minutes because you don't have to pay royalties.
Oh,
on
it's kind of like sampling on records and things like that. If it's under a certain time.
Yeah, so it's a really cheap model, and it's scummy.
Who comes up with that when it takes years to craft this material, and for you to say that after or under a minute and 2.5 minutes that it's worthless? It's worthless.
I'll never know, man. I mean, I don't understand any of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't understand the process, the automation that goes into it. Like, even on Sirius Canada, which, you know, I get some airplay on, they're really only playing 2 tracks from my record almost daily. And I'm like, why do you want to...
I think
Can you play
I think the job of sorting that kind of content,
It's pretty massive.
it's probably massive
At this point.
And like you said, people are dumping on it. So
Yeah.
you've probably got people pushing so much horseshit in every corner trying to get this check.
And then I put out this label, Comedy Dynamics, which is a very good label out of the U.S., out of L.A., I guess. They courted me. I'd already recorded the album in Hamilton at a bar called Work, and we had a great time. I did a very modest amount of time. I probably did like 39 minutes or something. You know, my albums are not much longer than the first one's like 30 minutes. The second one's like 39. And I was pretty happy with it. And then Comedy Dynamics,
One taping?
Yes, but it was after I'd done. It was like 2 months after I'd done 2 shows in Toronto trying to tape for the album, and those 2 shows were like 7 months after I'd done another taping to sort of see where I was at. So it was quite a process to get to like what I was happy with.
Yeah.
You know, and then in retrospect, I heard the album the other day and I was like, I forgot to put one of my favorite jokes on the fucking album.
Yeah, there's always
know?
that. Even we spent hours cutting mine, and there was like, oh fuck, what about this? This has got to go, and all this other shit. It's a you know, and then but that's the thing. You just got to kind of cut the cord and let it.
You just say, and especially if you forgot a joke, it's like add it some other time if it still works.
Yeah, you
know?
do what we done for my Rotten album was in certain media platforms you could get bonus tracks.
Yeah.
So people were lucky enough to go through things like Bandcamp and stuff. They got extra things for the same price.
Yeah, I'm on Bandcamp, made to pay what you can, and it's been good. But honestly, the album, I don't know what I expected from it, but it definitely was like I basically gave it hoping to get some American Serious airplay, and that has yet to materialize. And it's like a year later, and I didn't get that thing. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's like, you see your friends put out something and then somebody retweets it and it's a whole thing or whatever and they share it out. And it just
you have no control over that.
I mean, I had some really great people plugging my record. You
Sure.
know, I don't want to say I don't. You have to
you got some good
appreciate
people in your corner.
I really do, and it's like, I think it's just the reality is like, even if you get those plugs, even if you get it going, it's like, you're not going to sell a ton of shit.
No, especially with digital media and stuff. So people, if they really want to, they can steal it.
Which would be crazy.
It'd be nice to have something sold.
You have?
Oh, no, I don't know. Most of my stuff is free or relatively inexpensive online anyway.
And like Comedy Dynamics was good enough. They were like fine with me basically doing a Bandcamp on top of having the thing.
That's cool.
So.
That's wild. What, why Hamilton?
Hamilton has been really good to me. Like I've made this sort of
Now.
They've actually
10 years ago.
No, they still were.
Really?
Well, because I only would do it. I would never do clubs there. I mean, one of the biggest regrets, sort of my career, is that I started it. One of the biggest regrets would be the decision to have one or attempt to have one. But no, it's like clubs, not really doing them at the same.
You had some conversations with Mark.
Oh, I've met up with Mark and we've talked and,
Mark Breslin, the owner and
soon to be recipient of the Order of Canada.
Yes, isn't that cool? Congratulations, Mark Breslin.
Congratulations, Mark Breslin. You've ruffled a few feathers.
I know.
A lot of people were mad.
That's great.
And I was like, there's probably a lot worse people than Mark Breslin.
I don't
with
know.
The Order of Canada. I'm just going to guess.
I can tell, Yeah, but everybody should just shut up.
I mean, the situation sucks. It's not exactly Mark's fault, It's like, if anything, he probably sustained it through some fallow periods, and fallow. I'm throwing some
What's fallow mean?
Like, he probably helped sustain the Canadian comedy world through some periods that were a little dead.
Well, yeah, there's
not to mention starting it.
Yucks.
Not to mention the whole getting it started thing.
Starting from zero.
Yeah, which is a pretty big deal.
That's pretty cool because you got to think about what was going on then
in Toronto. Fucking dick all.
Yeah,
nothing.
That's what it was. Lineups to see wild shit.
Yeah,
I caused so much problem for that company, and Mark always stood up for me.
You would go up there and you'd do.
Yeah, you saw a lot of my spectacles.
I didn't see
there was lawsuits.
Yucks, but I saw you.
I had a lot of energy back then. I was very excited.
That's how I feel. I had no energy back then, and I have less now, and I'm still trying to do this. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I was pushing outwards a lot, but now we're here and made the journey to California.
Yeah, the dream.
Did you end up living on the West Coast at
all?
On
the streets?
In Vancouver?
No, I've never. I've only lived in Toronto.
I thought for sure you would have made a couple-month visit up there.
I performed in Toronto. I mean, what's crazy is that my style...
Not once in Vancouver.
I performed in Vancouver once. I'll tell you the story. It's not out there that much, and it's a very... it's a problematic story, so I think it's correct.
You had the police come to your show too?
Close to that.
Cool.
I
go on.
Was on tour. I probably had met you. It was probably I've seen you around. It was probably 2002. I want to say.
Okay,
maybe
just before I moved to England. I moved.
That was when you moved.
No, December 2003.
So I must have met you in 2001.
Yeah,
because
I was at Humber then, and that's why that.
But you were well known.
Well, I had a Comedy Now came out that year, and I was on some TV shows.
Weird thing about Comedy Now of that era, those are very popular. People, if you see them on YouTube,
they
have a lot of views.
I got $2,500 for mine.
I know. Levi McDougall's, people still watch that.
Yeah.
Gilson Lubin had a very good... He didn't even have a full special. He just had like 15 minutes. It was great, And you had this whole thing, and Pete, I think, even had one, Pete Zedlacker.
Yeah. I think it was a year even before and after. It involved, Patterson, and there's... that was our kind of HBO thing.
$2,500. That's less than to write a script for a kids' TV 11-minute show. Which is, by the way, that's no money in Canada either. But we do it. We do it. I do it.
At least you're in the mix of the business here, so you're at least meeting people on some level. If you were a top writer at the CBC, it would mean zero here.
No, that's the thing. But you would be able to come here. I would have been able to come here with a little bit of money, which is not what I did. Yeah. But anyway, so. In 2002, I went on tour with my friend's band, the Deadly Snakes, and I was opening up for them. And the weird thing about that era was that my comedy and your comedy were like not content-wise. They were not content-wise very far from each other. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, my mind wandered. I just saw a squirrel run through my head.
Yeah. No, it was. I saw it too, dude. Our comedy, your comedy and my comedy was like not that far from each other content-wise in like 2001.
Very antisocial behavior.
Antisocial, talking about whatever, pedophilia, but I was doing it, reading from a book, and somehow appealing to people who basically would see your thing and go like, oh, no, this guy's... but at that point, less so. It was more a few years later when the alt stuff really rose. I think that division really came through.
That was the beginning of the end of me. When
it didn't help me much either, trust me.
Meek and Heritage... Yeah, because they flooded the market.
Well, like...
With bullshit.
It's definitely like, you were talking off mic with me about, the fake nerd thing, and like the alt thing... It's just so crazy what happened. It's almost unimaginable.
It's cannibalizing on itself right now.
I think comedy, sometimes I look at it and I think it's going to die. And then I realize I just have a very myopic, like a very narrow view of what comedy is.
You've been around.
I have been around. I've seen it all. And it's sad seeing everyone just jockeying for position,
Yeah.
It's really just a game of musical chairs. And when people see someone doing like the right dance to get to the chair, they're like, maybe I'll try that weird dance to get to the chair. And it's like, no, just do your own fucking thing.
And it can be literally a simple dance.
It is generally a simple dance.
It's a simple dance.
It's a rumba or a samba.
It is a weird, but that's
or the dinosaur. You ever do the dinosaur?
Here in general is that a lot of that kind of jockeying position.
Yeah, it's not to be too worried about. But anyway, so I go with Deadly Snakes on tour, doing this material and just standing by this material, going to, Seattle and doing 15 minutes of a lot of heroin jokes.
Yeah.
Just being like, because in my head I was like, well, I'm in Seattle.
Yeah, you know your audience.
I was like, oh, I'm up here. I just injected I just injected the space needle. I just injected heroin via the space needle. It was great. Yeah. And I
they should have a sense of humor about it.
They had a great sense of humor. They were like right on that perfect line, which is my favorite line, where they were like smart enough to be heckling me in a funny way that was like building everything. Like I had that once in Toronto when I was starting out, when I was 20. I mean, I was writing these kinds of jokes, and it was at Slack Alice, which was a lesbian bar.
Did you? Yeah. What's her name ran it?
Martina Gale.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I went in
Mark Breslin's cousin?
You had to stand.
Is she Mark Breslin's cousin? I would always hear that.
I don't think so. No. You'd have to stand on the bar.
Yeah, you had to stand on the bar.
The Dykes never really liked me that much. Gay men, there was something, they liked the crassness and the lack of boundaries, I think.
Yeah.
But the Dykes, I don't know. I think because they could beat me in a fight.
There's a big difference. I mean, that's something I've talked about with Scott Thompson a lot. Like, is...
I love Scott.
He's so great.
I'm sad he moved from here.
No, he's here. He's back.
He here?
He's back.
Oh, great.
Yeah, he's back. Yeah.
How long has he been back?
A year or something.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
I'll let you continue.
So...
Kids in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Anyway, the joke I told was in Slack Alice, and again, I'm really digging a hole by even mentioning my more problematic areas of my career. But being 20 or 21, I don't care. I was a young man. This was the shit I was.
I'm starting to think that I might have heard about something about this on the street. But keep going, because there was some drama out of that room over the years. I remember hearing various.
I never had drama at Slack Alice. Okay. I told it. What I'm saying is like,
did you fuck a dyke?
No, I've never. I mean, yes, but not in that context. Okay. I was talking about the Deadly Snakes tour.
And we're back. Why does this sound weird? Oh, that's why. Check. There we go. We were using these broken microphones hanging off the end. I tried to take this Zoom recorder to the Porn Awards, the X Awards, which are this weekend here in Los Angeles. You ever go porn?
Do they call them the X Awards because like you'll have an X, if like you watch she'll break up with you?
Play on words.
Thank you. That's my speciality.
I noticed that.
I don't go to the porn awards. But I definitely.
You look like every guy who goes to the porn awards.
Probably do actually.
Yeah,
like
I've been multiple times. I'm the weirdo in the crowd.
You're the weird one?
It's like smoking hot, like mannequins, just, manicured at every turn.
Right. Their vaginas are so much, the teeth are so much nicer than my teeth.
They've been pounded so hard, they look like the bottom of a horse saddle. That's how many balls and boots.
Do you have any preferred type pornography?
The one where it goes in and where they love each other. So.
Oh no, there's no way they love each other.
You can find. We have a small group.
You watched some of this shit lately? You seen some of this shit? There's all this new stuff. It's like barter porn.
Barter porn.
Yeah, it's like where like someone is in a situation where they need money or to get out of a situation, so like they're forced into sex with the person, but they like it at the end.
Yeah.
Like there's one that's about a pawn shop.
It's very misleading.
XXX pawn. And they always black out. And there's one called Shoplifter where it's like a security guard.
And then he fucks the chicks and catch shoplifting? That's my idea.
Yeah, these sound like illegal concepts, but this is definitely like straightforward porn.
I think they should do the same show, but do it in a 99-cent store. And the guy catches homeless people, right. And then he eats them out, including the girls. He eats out everybody.
Men, women, animals. I mean, it would be cool if someone trained an animal to steal from a store. Has anyone ever done that? You ever do that see that in Hamilton? Like a service dog that...
No, usually the dogs are so hooked on drugs and booze, they can't do much of anything. Now to keep a paw from shaking.
So should I finish my Vancouver story?
Yes.
Sir, I mean, the Slack Alice story is basically just whatever, but we'll move on into Vancouver. At that time, all of my jokes were... The attempt was to offend, and I had jokes about Robert Pickton, the serial killer in the Pig Farmer.
Yeah,
serial killer in Vancouver, and
I know people who've been on that farm.
Well, that's the thing. So I was opening for the Deadly Snakes, who were all like young 20-something music guys. We were playing Piccadilly in Vancouver, and. It was a full show, and I go up there, and I'm like, this is perfect. I can tell my Robert Pickton jokes to Vancouver. Because I had this idea at that time. I was like, if you can't tell your joke in the place to the face of the people who it's about, you can't tell the joke. When in reality, the opposite is true. You actually, I learned this from when I toured.
Cancer.
When I
you in the front.
Yeah, totally.
With the shitty wig. Exactly. Why are you crying?
Totally. It's like, well, I hope you pick the one cancer patient who is laughing all their way to the treatment, the chemo. Cause,
guy in the corner with an IV in his arm. Why?
Yeah, exactly. Neil Hamburger was the one who said, when I had a joke about Rhode Island, about the Great White Concert Fire, the Great White Fire. And the joke was, isn't it ironic that this Great White Concert Fire only killed lesser whites? Yeah. And it was like, I was like, I'll tell that's the appropriate response to it, by the way.
No.
Yeah. No, that was a good joke. Good enough joke. But I was like, should I tell this in Providence where I was about to play? Because that's where it happened. And I was like, do you tell jokes in the place where that happened? He's like, no. Like, why would you want to like basically just like throw salt on their wound? But I didn't know that in
depending
Vancouver.
what the intention behind it is to provoke, you could be queer, let sleeping dogs.
I was mostly provoking at that time.
Yeah,
like those jokes didn't
with no backup.
Those jokes had a thin defense where I was kind of like, well, the world's fucked up, and I'm just kind of trying to point that out through sarcasm, and it's like that's why I kind of turned away from that type of writing later on, because it was just like, first of all, Twitter ruined writing jokes to an extent, like everyone was doing it, so it just changed the thing, and then it's like, it's really natural. I mean, to kind of, and so you've made a career that involves that shit, like literally just like talking about crazy shit.
Yeah.
But a lot of comedians, that's like the first thing they try to do, and it just like sucks. And I was sort of
that's something they've adopted that they've seen. Like we were talking earlier about things that they think, you got to function in your own space.
Yeah, and you have to get to things after.
There's
you have to learn to
evolutionary
crawl before you learn to walk or whatever. And anyway, so what my joke was about Robert Pickton. It had a pun that was crazy, and I told it at the Piccadilly, and people in the crowd. I think I was booed off stage that night. And
that's amazing. Do you have tape of that? There must be some video of that.
Right. And there's also, it's not even that I told Robert Pickton.
Piccadilly? What?
I think it was called Piccadilly. I don't know. It was like sort of near Hastings, but I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Not the
East
Cobalt
Side.
or something.
It wasn't Cobalt.
I know.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's the only time I've really been to Vancouver. And
on paper, that seems like that's where you would find your crowd.
Well, maybe so. And I'd love to go back and do comedy there, but I'm banned. And no, I'm not banned at all. But I
just come open for me in Vancouver.
I would love
April
to.
3rd, 4th, and 5th.
I'm open to that. That could work.
Flights are not too bad either, but
well, maybe I'll do that. So I come out and I'm like, I thought it would be really provocative if I come out and say, "Hey, I'm from Toronto." I said, "Oh, I flew in from Toronto, and boy, is my sense of superiority tired." And I was like, "Toronto is so much better than Vancouver." Like I kind of made this thing where I was like purposely trying to say how good Toronto was because I knew it was like an annoying thing to say, but they took it too seriously and they just started booing the fuck out of me. And
the irony is lost.
Irony's lost in Vancouver, which is so odd. But then
lighten up, Vancouver.
This guy took my notebook that I was reading from and like whacked me in the head with it.
No.
And he spat on me.
Dirty hippies.
And they spat on me after I told. And it was, actually people who were friends with the Deadly Snakes, people who were in these bands, Streets and different punk bands around there, might have people who related to like the Black Mountain Band. And they were all people I wound up really liking. And when my band Brutal Nights wound up playing with people who were like involved in that incident, it's so ironic. But, they didn't know me. That was the main thing. It's like my intention was not known. Turns out a lot of them work at these hotels. They knew women who were like killed by this guy. Yeah. So it's just like,
well, you had nothing to do with it.
I had nothing to do with it. You had something to do with it. Society had something to do with it. But I definitely didn't make those jokes. I mean, I made those jokes because like I was trying to grapple with whatever. You know, like
you have to get them. Did you cross those bridges? There has to be an initial connection with the audience very quickly. Yeah, and exactly. If you don't have that
charisma,
you have to have that hook in to run down there. And depending on what your motive is,
Sure.
And I like to ride that line, pretty wobbly.
Yeah.
What's acceptable and what's not. And there's a lot of placement on the fly that necessarily an idea that I had that was going to function in a certain order of the show.
Yeah.
Now it has to be brought up to the front to manicure this third table over here because of this. It's getting too hot too fast.
Yeah, so you've got to go back to something just for a second that kind of showcases who you are. I mean, that's the thing that's like weird is I'm just discovering more and more about stand-up as I'm doing it. It's just flooring it. Yeah, totally.
Like
which is really the
Neil
show.
Hamburger show where I bombed it so bad.
That was epic. I mean, that was really that was a wild thing.
Didn't I spit on somebody in the spit beer? Oh, no, maybe it was the second last time. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen you multiple times at Neil Hamburger, and it's never been the easiest.
Oh, no. I remind them of everything they hate.
Well, they're on thin ice anyway, a lot of that crowd, because they're mostly white guys. They're not very different from 20 to 40, whatever.
I'm a 70-year-old.
Yeah, they see
you. Prostitute.
They see Mr. Burns up there talking about their, having sex with, their
dead things.
Their aunt's corpse or whatever. And I think that because, Neil Hamburger again has like topics like that, but there's a level of irony to it. They get to they watch that and they get to both enjoy that on a visceral level and also feel above, Mm-hmm. And I don't think your comedy has that.
It's blindsided.
Your comedy is more like
T-boned by a cement truck.
Yeah, it's just driving a truck into a wall. I mean, you're basically the Muhammad Atta of comedy, and the 9/11.
Yeah, I do what I can for the community.
Yeah, but so it's interesting.
You've been attacked on stage
I have, yeah. I've been tackled on stage by when I opened for my own band
in Canada.
No, in San Francisco. Yeah, when I had a flu.
I had a flu and I had to do a punk rock show in Montreal, and I didn't want to cancel, and I had alcohol poisoning or something.
Oh my God!
I had a cold, and I thought it was a hangover, and I thought it was going to go away. 6 hours on the floor in the back of the car, and then throwing up at every gas station. And then I bombed. I had a puke bucket on stage. You got a little Gigi Allen there for a bit. They hated me. Boo!
Yeah, I mean, you did a good thing where you started with the punk shows and then just took that sort of, this is not going to go well approach to and I don't care, approach to doing regular shows, And I think, whereas I kind of stayed on the punk rock shows and then did indie bookings and, I don't know. Now it's like
you already had a current or a trail that you'd done through music, and you're like, oh, I can apply this to my comedy.
And they were
career.
happening concurrently, also. That's the thing is I was only 20 or 21 when I started doing stand up. So my music career was actually at a bit of a their careers, whatever. I have made albums, so I guess it's a career or something. It's like. My two bands had broken up, and I was doing comedy, and then so yes, I'd had that already, and I knew, and that's why I got to open for bands. And
I think my brother has one of your 7 inches or something like
that.
I think
you texted me about that one time. Yeah,
I found it in a box.
It was like you came to the Jay Retard show.
Yeah,
the Brutal Nights played.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah. And my little brother came, and he really liked your bought a CD.
That's cool. That's so cool. Yeah, I mean the music thing. I'm always frustrated by. Just how cool music will always be compared to comedy. Like how music, you walk out, the first the note rings out and people are in and you're making their life better, or a few of their lives better.
Comedy's way much more fragile.
And then at the end of the night, they're just like, if they can get the confidence, they go, good set. And half of them, then they'll get a moment of.
Are you saying you're not getting enough blowjobs after shows by fans?
I'm not.
You were partying at the wrong clubs, buddy. We're going to a comedy store tonight, and you're going to get a herpes.
I'm going to get a hernia
from touching the door handles.
Yeah, I mean that place. R.I.P. Jesus.
I know.
Did you know that guy?
I did.
Yeah, nice.
I've known him for a long time. He was a very nice guy. Give me a back massage.
He seemed like the kind of guy to just give back massages.
He was a very gentle soul.
I liked seeing him around.
Hollywood Jesus, Kevin Lee Light, died a few days ago. And
I was actually last month. But people were sort of bringing it up now.
Oh, the eulogy or the memorial thing was on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I was in Brea at the Improv or something. But he was always at the Comedy Store. Mm-hmm. He was always in the Comedy Store. He showed up during Pride with a rainbow.
Oh, that's so cool.
Thing. Yeah, the guy was just cool.
Yeah.
He was just a good dude. And I don't know what his complications were. And
he had COPD, bro.
What's COPD?
It's the fucking most... It's the secret...
Is it AIDS?
I don't know why I'm laughing at that. It's not AIDS. It's
how come every time I'm serious, everyone laughs, and when I'm laughing, no one's laughing? Every time I smile, they go, "What are you doing?"
No, it's like smoking. It's sort of like emphysema. It's a smoking related pulmonary disorder. I don't remember what the first two words are. And it's what Leonard Nimoy died of. I mean, he died at like 82, so it's obviously...
Yeah, he was a young, healthy gentleman. Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess he had COPD, and, Scott the Engineer on Howard Stern's, I guess he's got it. It's pretty much incurable, I think, once you get it.
What's it related to? Smoking?
Smoking. Yes, definitely smoking. Yeah, but it's also one of those ones that's like not famous, so you just hear about it when you get it, and you're like, I wish someone had reminded me.
I thought it was because a friend of mine was saying sometimes it could have been, or he might have had pneumonia, which they camouflage AIDS or something, or...
Yeah, you don't know sometimes the compound diseases, this is a great way to end the podcast, by the way. It's just this sort of disease PSA.
Jesus
I'm down with it. Yeah, Jesus died, but for whose sins? For Bobby Lee's sins?
Bobby Lee.
Yeah, no, you get it. I'm sure if you have another disease, a fucking crazy lung punishing, emphysema style disease where every breath feels like drowning, apparently is gonna speed along.
As we talk with our raspy tobacco voices,
our ruin.
We'll die alone. We'll die alone. Well, we're gonna have some fun tonight. I think
Tonight we'll go to the store.
we're gonna go to the store and kick out the jams.
Yeah, hopefully I can come to the Viper Room afterwards. We'll see.
And if
Jury's
not,
out.
there's loads of shows and stuff. I'm up for checking out a bunch of different bands and shit.
Sure, yeah. I'm around until Dear Jason Rouse podcast listeners, I have a Bandcamp, nickflanagan.bandcamp.com.
Buy Nick shit.
And
not only his comedy, but his music.
I really need, that's wrongholemusic.bandcamp.com. I really need to make enough money to renew my visa here to continue the dream. What is the dream? I don't really know.
How much money do you need for your visa? $5,000?
To renew it, $4,300.
Okay. So yeah, about $5,000.
So if I could get
buy
43 of you paying $100 each for my album.
Can they get it on iTunes too? You must have a library.
Yeah, but if you get it on iTunes, I won't get quickly. The money. Yeah, it's like that goes to Comedy Dynamics. They're supposed to pay me out when they hit a certain number. I'll probably never see it.
No, the Bandcamp's more streamlined.
Yeah.
Or if they have do you have a PayPal account that people can put money into?
That's a great question. You know what? I'll give this out. JICKFlanagan.gmail.com.
Just give Nick money.
Chick Flanagan. Yeah, just give me money.
No one, actually, people of Toronto, if you want to have a good 2018, you keep Nick in Hollywood.
Yeah, you guys want to...
He'll be back and he'll be dragging his leg down Queen Street. Do you do comedy here?
I actually went back to Canada. I went back to Toronto and it was amazing. It was like I got to do 5 shows. And like,
a night?
Yeah, I got to do 7 shows in 5 days. And I did put on a show of my own.
And they're happy to see you.
Had like 60 plus people pay, 70, 80 people in the room. And it was just a small room.
Hammering on Toronto now. We love Toronto.
Yeah, we do. I do. And the comedy scene there is really vibrant right now. It's quite, it's almost,
Toronto's always been a hotbed for comedy. In the Toronto, Vancouver's kind of caught up, but when I started there was zero going on.
In Vancouver?
Yeah, there was zero.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see Vancouver doing well, and it's cool. And yeah, Toronto, because of the Humber thing, is just like wild, dude. It's like...
They're cranking them out.
They're cranking them out, but then, I just think it's important And
there's no bullying, so now it doesn't thin out the weak ones, because everybody's got a powwow
there
going
was
on.
so much bullying to some extent, even when when I was starting and when you were starting. People were such dicks to each other. And
I pull my cock all the time.
Yeah, but didn't you tuck it betwixt your legs?
Betwixt, between 2 chocolate bars.
And then you said, does anyone want the Bounty? Guess which one's the Bounty?
Oh, that's not, those aren't coconut shavings. That's ringworm.
Gross.
Where can people, are you on the Instagram? Oh, have you been getting my Snapchats? The log fathers?
I haven't been opened. I haven't opened one of your Snapchats in since I opened your. There was like one I opened by accident, like
Whoops-a-doodle.
like half a year ago. And
What
it's
happened?
It's Boomer, right? I heard it's Boomer.
Boomer's asshole?
Yeah, that's what I hear.
That's Boomer, yeah. But the shitting ones are mine.
Oh, good. That's great.
Oh, if you want to add me, Jason Rouse 666 on Snapchat,
and you can add me.
Ask for the log father, and I'll blast you one.
I don't remember my Snapchat handle, but I am Nick Flanagan on Instagram at the Flans, THEFLANS, and you can look up some of my stuff on theflans.com. Mm-hmm. And I have a YouTube channel, and I don't know. I don't know what I'll do soon, but yeah, that's a weird way to end it.
Bang!
I've got some big plans, guys.
Well, we're gonna have a great 2018. We're gonna go hit the Strip, go to the Comedy Store, and then go see All Hail the Yeti down at the Viper Room tonight.
Maybe so.
I have a bunch of shit. I Vancouver, April, Calgary, St. John, Halifax for the month of April, and then. But anyway, go to my website. Thanks for listening, and. Keep Flanagan off the streets.
Keep me off the streets.
Throw some money in his PayPal account, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
I don't care what society thinks. They're nothing anyway. They're no better than me.